Number 11. Tony Leigh. British gym owner Tony Leigh died in October of 2009 after he was struck in the face by a weightlifting bar. 47-year-old Leigh operated the Flex Appeal Gym in Whitstable, Kent. Leigh had participated in strongman competitions and also helped train other aspiring athletes. The father of two was a former soldier and had also worked as a bodyguard for the Dubai royal family. Leigh was even mentioned as a Manchester Tony in a book on Britain's toughest men, authored by Kate Cray, former wife of notorious London gangster Ronnie Cray. Considering the man's reputation, the accident surprised all who knew him. It was determined that after he'd lost his grip on the bar, the weight came down and crushed his head. Leigh sustained massive brain injuries and was pronounced dead in the hospital less than a week after the accident. Number 10. Marcel Mancuso. In January of 2016, a Brazilian fitness model was left temporarily paralyzed following a devastating gym accident. 23-year-old Marcel Mancuso was doing an inverted sit-up on a bench under the supervision of her trainer. She used a strap which was attached to the elevated part of the equipment piece. Unfortunately, the strap broke, and Mancuso's trainer couldn't hold her. The young woman fell and hit the back of her head on the floor, instantly losing all movement in her limbs. She'd severely injured her spine and was treated with bone grafts after being rushed to the hospital. Mancuso was fitted with a titanium plate secured by 6 screws. Doctors warned that she could remain a tetraplegic for the rest of her life. However, Mancuso would make a miraculous recovery. After months of grueling physical therapy, she was able to walk, and eventually she started working out again and even returned to doing inverted sit-ups. Number 9. Kamrul Hassan. In August of 2015, a fitness enthusiast sustained critical head injuries at a gym in Birmingham, England. 23-year-old Kamrul Hassan was on the treadmill. It's suspected that he'd set the machine at a pace that he struggled to maintain. Security cameras captured the moment that Hassan fell backwards in an almost vertical position. The gym goer hit his head and started convulsing. He was taken to a hospital where, for 6 days, doctors struggled to relieve the pressure on his brain. However, the damage was rooted too deep and Hassan passed away. The business student's parents, based in Bangladesh, were devastated when told of his death. The coroner recorded a verdict of accidental death. In the aftermath, many gym enthusiasts re-emphasized the need for using a safety line, which is an implement meant to detect when the runner is struggling and automatically stop the belt. Number 8. Sophie Butler. In July of 2017, a 21-year-old woman was left paralyzed following a traumatic injury she sustained while doing a squat workout at her local gym. Sophie Butler had used the same squat machine nearly every day for 2 years. The accident took place on the same day that Butler had received her final university results. She and her father had planned to celebrate, but before that, they each went to their respective gyms. Butler was doing 150 pounds on the squat machine when she lost her footing. The young woman collapsed and the weight fell on top of her, breaking her back. She was helped by gym staff, and it reportedly took 20 minutes for the excruciating pain to set in. Butler knew something had gone horribly wrong when staff asked her to wiggle her toes and she couldn't do it. The fracture in her back was pressing on her spinal cord. She was rushed to the hospital and underwent an emergency operation to save any chance she ever had of ever walking again. For 6 weeks after the operation, Butler was unable to sit up. The young woman was eventually able to attend her graduation in a wheelchair. She even tried returning to the gym. However, she suffered from PTSD and would relive the accident whenever she heard weights banging. Nevertheless, Butler was determined to walk again, which doctors told her would be possible with extensive physical therapy. Number 7. Stephen Baker. In October of 2017, the managing director of an energy drink company was found dead in his garage. 56-year-old Stephen Baker was working out on a bench press machine in his home gym in Leicester, England. Concerned friends went to Baker's house after they hadn't received a reply from him regarding dinner plans. They found the man, who was described as super fit, inside the garage, with his neck trapped under the bar of the 220-pound machine. The bench was on the floor and the machine's safety catches, meant to stop the weight if it became unmanageable, were at the bottom. Those who found Baker reported that the impact of the crushing weight had left a dent in his neck. A coroner determined that he'd suffered a fatal heart attack, most likely triggered by the massive pressure to which he'd been subjected. Number 6. Emily Counter. In October of 2018, Emily Counter was working out at the Anytime Fitness Noosa Gym on Australia's Sunshine Coast. The 20-year-old was on a rowing machine when she suddenly collapsed. Counter suffered a seizure and went into cardiac arrest. If not for a swift intervention of the owner and another gym goer, she wouldn't have survived. They reported that Counter had started to go blue, at which point they administered CPR and used a defibrillator to start her heart. She was rushed to Noosa Hospital, where she was in a coma for 3 days. It was due to the near-death experience that doctors were able to determine Counter was suffering from bland white garland syndrome. It's a condition characterized by an anomaly in the left coronary artery from the pulmonary trunk. In the absence of surgical intervention, the majority of children afflicted by the syndrome die at birth. But Counter had suffered from it into adulthood. Even before she'd collapsed in the gym, the young woman would have trouble breathing and experience heart pain when running, but had simply thought she wasn't fit enough. 4 months after she had surgery, Counter was cleared to exercise again. In the aftermath of her brush with death, she argued for defibrillators to be installed in every gym. Number 5. Victoria Griffiths. In 2017, a mother of 2 was left paralyzed from the waist down after trying to lift more than twice her body weight. 31-year-old Victoria Griffiths went to the gym for her daily spin class but decided to do a leg routine, as she'd already warmed up for it. She had the bar, which carried over 285 pounds, on her back. She was doing step-ups on an aerobic step, but because of the weight, had started to wobble as she got down. The woman fell forwards and was basically folded in half by the bar. Griffiths, who at the time worked as a firefighter, broke 2 bones in her back and severely damaged her spinal cord. She kept trying to get up, but other gym goers told her to stay still. She'd lost all feeling below the waist and didn't even notice when the paramedics had moved her legs from the floor. Griffiths underwent a 4-hour operation in which doctors placed titanium rods in her back. The woman survived the accident, but doctors were doubtful that she'd ever walk again. Number 4. Kyle Thompson. In 2016, a 22-year-old university student died at a gym in central Iowa after a barbell slipped from his hands and crushed his neck. Kyle Thompson was bench pressing 315 pounds at the Elite Edge Transformation Center in Ankeny, Iowa. To put that weight into perspective, it's comparable to that of an adult panda bear. There were spotters assisting Thompson on his attempt, but they failed to catch the weight in time. A fire ambulance took the young man to a Des Moines hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. Number 3. Ben Shaw. In 2017, an Australian teenager died following a freak accident at a Brisbane gym. 15-year-old Ben Shaw was a regular at the Pine Rivers PCYC gym, and he'd competed in junior weightlifting competitions across the state. Staff found Shaw with his neck pinned under a barbell, and it's believed he'd been in that position for up to 30 minutes. Shaw was trying to bench press 220 pounds when the bar slipped from his hands and crushed his neck. Staff performed first aid until paramedics arrived at the scene. The teenager was rushed to a hospital and put on life support. His family ultimately made the difficult decision to switch off the machines and donate his organs. Pine Rivers PCYC was closed down pending an investigation, but staff joined Shaw's friends and schoolmates in expressing their condolences. Today's topic was requested by Marvin Ina. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Yvonne Mayers. In 2015, Manchester woman Yvonne Mayers suffered a brutal treadmill accident that, in her own words, left her looking like she'd been in a fight. 57-year-old Mayers had gone to a local gym, where she was getting ready to use the machine. The previous user had left the treadmill running at such a high setting that it created the optical illusion that the belt was motionless. As soon as the woman stepped on it, she was brought to the ground. As she struggled to get up, Mayers sustained severe friction burns on her arms, nose, and face. She also had a gash on her forehead. The mother of 4 was taken to a hospital and ultimately recovered, but still felt shaken up for weeks after the incident. Join the They Will Kill You team by rocking the latest merch from theywillkillyou.com. Order yours today to be one of the first to spread the word. Number 1. AMBRISH Patel. In March of 2017, Indian man AMBRISH Patel was working out on a leg press machine, which he'd loaded with more than 24 plates. While the exact weight wasn't specified, it's believed to have been close to 1,000 pounds. Patel reportedly struggled with the tremendous load and couldn't do full-range repetitions. He was wearing compression braces on his knees, but they did little to prevent what followed. As he pushed the press and stretched out his legs, Patel's left knee bent laterally and snapped. The press came down, further compressing the damaged limb. The gym-goer was left in excruciating pain and passed out on the floor. He was taken to a hospital and, according to subsequent updates on his case, was set to recover following several months of physical therapy. Since it was uploaded online, the video of Patel's horrific gym mishap was viewed over 90 million times on Facebook alone. Thanks for watching. Would you give up 3 years of your lifespan to instantly have your dream body? Let us know in the comments section below.